Welcome to the AirCon Vault. Here you can find recordings of the live streams from Eric's audio conference. These are made free thanks to our sponsors. A sound effect, Audio Kinetic, Boom Library, Bright Skull, Dolby, FMOD, Game Audio Learning, Game SoundCon, Kilohertz, Motion Picture Sound Editors, Rev Rooms, Sound Cuts, Sound Warriors, and Eric's, the online home for audio creatives. We hope you enjoy the video.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Eric's, for letting us be part of the amazing AirCon today. My name is Ruben. I'm audio director at Sound, and with me I have today Mirella, our senior sound designer, and Katharina, our technical sound designer. We'll be talking today about adapting audio for mobile, this Elysium in this case, which is a game that we released like a year ago, give or take, and it's currently available in Android. Just to give you a glimpse into the content of this presentation, we will talk a little bit about project direction, like what's this Elysium on mobile and why, right? Like audio direction and development. We'll share some goals, pillars of the audio landscape, like development processes, challenges that we have. We'll also talk about dramatics and field sounds. You will see what they are about in a couple of minutes. Ambiences, technical approach, voiceover. We'll also share a couple of videos with some sounds in stereo for you to listen to. Some final notes with some thoughts on the development and things like that. And yeah, as Andre will say, please, if you have any comments or questions, drop them in the chat and we will try to answer all of them after the slides. That's okay. So to talk a little bit about the project direction, what is like this Elysium on mobile? Everything started like a couple of years ago. A couple of artists from the incredible and talented art team at Sound reimagined like how this Elysium would like in mobile, and they came along with very, very cool and very impressive concept arts of the game. And then the company was like, okay, this looks amazing. This looks very beautiful. But what is like the gameplay approach? What we want to tell with this like adaptation of this Elysium to mobile, right? And the idea behind that was that we wanted people with perhaps limited amount of time, or people that are in the go, like in the bus or in the train, to experience this Elysium for small gameplay sessions, like gameplay sessions for around 10 to 15 minutes. So enough time to go there, enjoy the amazing artwork, enjoy the amazing writing, embrace like the characters, the story, and so on. And then you can stop and move on, and then you can come back afterwards and keep like playing the game and so on. It was like yeah, it's more like a project thinking on the small gameplay sessions, basically for people with limited amount of time. Also adapted to the mobile device, right? Like we wanted to deliver something very immersive, integrated to the device. And everything is based on this Feld device fantasy. Feld is like a fictional company from the Elysium universe. And the idea is that you have a Feld device in your phone. And by using it, it's like a tape-based analog device. And you are like loading tapes in the device. And you are revisiting what happened in this Elysium. So you are like experiencing what happened to Harry and Kim and other characters and so on, right? It was a project that was around 2 years in development. We were a team of around 15 to 20 people, more or less. And it was developed in Unity, and we used the FMOD. From an audio direction point of view, the main goal was that we wanted players to recognize this Elysium. We love this Elysium. I didn't work on this Elysium in the game, but I loved the game. It was like one of my biggest references, and I love the game. The narrative is impressive and so on. So we wanted to be very respectful with the IP. We wanted to honor like the work that people made back in the time. But as I said, I didn't work on this Elysium, Mirella neither, Katharina neither. So at the end of the day, there is always something new that you put in there. But we wanted people to play the game and feel that at the end of the day, they are not that far from home, right? We also wanted to use this opportunity to establish a first approach on how our game sounds like. I joined the company like 2.5 years ago. Before that, it was just Katharina alone by herself, and she was working in 3 projects in parallel. And it was like a good opportunity to start like thinking on, okay, like the technical like pillars of a department, start like building bridges with other departments, with other disciplines and so on, but also to start thinking on what we want to do as sound designers, as artists, right? Like we are not just like delivering assets and that's it. No, we are not asset providers. We want to be storytellers. How are we gonna do that, right? So this Elysium for mobile, in that sense, was like the first opportunity that we had as a team to start like experimenting on that and thinking on who we are within sound. We also wanted to deliver a beautiful sound experience in a mobile game. I personally love working on mobile games. And there are like games like Florence, Altos Odyssey, Monument Valley, Hidden Folk, Assemble with Care, which are like were one of the main references. If you know them, which you probably know, they are very beautiful and they sound amazing. So we wanted people to play this Elysium on mobile and 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 have the same feeling that this game was made with care and love, right? Um, and basically, is what I said. We wanted the game to sound like disco, but just a slightly different, something fresh. Explore a little bit like the IP, like the mobile as an endpoint, right? What can we get from it, and so on. Some of the creative guidelines that we followed in this project. First of all, strategic use of music. The soundtrack from this Elysium is amazing. It's beautiful. I love it. C-Power did an amazing job in there. However, we wanted like other elements from the soundscape to be part of the storytelling experience as well. We wanted to distribute like that responsibility between different like elements like ambiences, non-diegetic sounds, which we have a lot, the felt sounds as well, the dramatics, etc. We also use the dynamic range for that. This is not something new, but we wanted to give like the space to the players to enjoy like the artwork, like the VFX, the narrative, the voiceover, and so on. And then we will take like a step back, so we give that space and energy to the players to enjoy those elements from the game, right? But when the gameplay needs and the narrative needs, we take a step forward, and then we have the music, the ambience, the energetic sounds, the binaural voiceover, and so on. We also wanted to represent as much as possible this analog fantasy of a full device. So we played a lot with like tape sounds, like radio glitches and things like that. We also wanted to explore new ways to deliver voiceover. Katharina will talk to you about this afterwards, so you will see. But delivering this game to a mobile where most of the people will play with AirPods or headphones was a good opportunity for us to do so. But the main goal for everything, afterwards, was that we were thinking on this Elysium mobile as an audiobook experience. The game doesn't have animations at all. It's like an interactive book, comic, you can say. We wanted to embrace that experience a lot with like non-diegetic sounds, like, I don't know, perhaps the illustration is like you are in a square next to the scissor. So, and the text or the dialogue is describing your sounds. So we wanted to support those kind of like details with the audio experience that perhaps you hear like in the distance, like a seagull or the waves that crossing and things like that, right? And that will embrace a little bit that immersion that we wanted to deliver in mobile. Some of the challenges that we had. This Elysium was originally developed in Unity and used Unity Audio. That means that all the assets that we had were like either one-shot sounds or looping sounds. We didn't have access to variations of sounds or layers. We didn't have also access to music stems and so on. So once that we decided to move on to FMOD, it's like there's like a new bunch of opportunities that we can use in order to create a more interactive experience. And for that reason, while we were trying to keep like those like these Elysium vibes, the inner work from the creators, and to respect them and so on, we had to create new varieties of sounds, a lot of new sounds in order to play with layers, perspective, and so on. That's something that we had to do a lot with ambiences, for example, and non-diegetic sounds. We had to set up pillars and good practices. We didn't even have like an audio repository back in the time with the mod project and so on. We didn't have a soundbank strategy, or we didn't have like a soundbank like generation process. So it was like, okay, how do we get like fresh banks every night in the builds and things like that, right? Not only like technical, but also like interdepartmental practices like, for example, working with engineering, production, art, and so on. The thing is that it was a small group of people, as I said before, like around 15 to 20 people. Everybody in some is like super collaborative and really nice, and they always want to deliver the best, and they appreciate the work that everybody is doing. So it was really easy to start like building these processes with all of them. the project was already in development when I joined. We had to change our minds. I remember I had a conversation with some people, and they were like, "Look, but we already have like all the sounds and all the music assets from this coalition. It's just a matter of getting them, trigger them when we need, and that's it. It's going to sound good because they work in this, because they will work here." It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Sorry. So Katharina and myself spent like 4 or 5 months working in an internal milestone, and we delivered like a lot of like new assets, new systems to the game, and so on. And then they realized that, okay, the experience is different. It's embracing way more like the final goal of this project and so on. So we don't want to come back to what we had before. It's not that it was bad. It's just because the approach was different. So since then we have like more like support, more resources to keep working on this. And afterwards we hired Mirella, and then we started like building like such a beautiful soundscape all together. And we were at the end, and we are still a small team. But back in the time, we were a small team doing it first gig together. It was the first project that we delivered as an internal like audio team within Sound. So that not only means that we have to create like the guidelines, all the processes and so on, set up the technology or the PCM for the department, but that also meant that we had to create like the dynamics within the audio department, like how we work together, how we support each other, how we like create these ambience in order to be able to deliver the best that we can with the time and the resources and so on that we have. And it was a great opportunity, and I know everything evolved like very, very well, I would say. And afterwards, we hired Eli. Now we are a team of 4 at Sound. And I would say that we have like very, very good dynamics, very good practices, we're very supportive, and everything started with this coalition mobile. So I will be always like very, very appreciated for that. And we will be moving into audio content. By the way, all these illustrations are taken directly from the game. So if you download the game, it's in Android, you can download it for free and play the first chapter for free. You can enjoy like the amazing work of the art team made for the project. It's really beautiful. And from here, I will pass it to Mireia and Kat to talk about other stuff. Thank you for listening. Mireia?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ruben, for this amazing intro you did. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about dramatics first. And what are dramatics? Can we go to the next slide, please? So they are essentially frame-by-frame cinematics built from static illustrations. So in game, the images move vertically, and they look almost like panels from a graphic novel. But then inside of them, there's no real animation on the scene, so they are like very still. And because of that, it was one of the biggest challenges for us, because they are extremely beautiful, as you can already see, but minimal in a way. And I think because of that, audio became incredibly important here. And yeah, very early on, we realized that the sound wasn't just supporting these images, but also they were creating the sensation of movement and continuity, and also immersion and emotion. So in many of those cases, the audio is what was making the scene alive, instead of feeling just like a slideshow. We think that this was very important, especially on mobile, where the experience is more condensed than in consoles or PC. And we actually needed the world to be active and immersive. And as Ruben already said, we used to compare this to an audiobook. Not literally, of course, because the visuals are still really, really important in this game. But in the end, these dramatics lean between regular cinematic and an audiobook. Also, they are strongly based on non-diegetic sounds, and something we noticed during the development is that players mentally complete a lot of missing information. So the image like kind of guide that imagination from a side of the dramatics, but it is the audio, the one that expands the world beyond that frame. And in order to differentiate every dramatic, we divided them in 3 different levels, intensity levels. So we had the low drama dramatics, the medium drama dramatics, and the maximum drama dramatics. Just so you have an idea on how we distributed them. For instance, if the frame shows Harry just walking alongside Kim, that would be considered like a low drama dramatic. But on the other hand, if we see Harry just shooting his gun, that would consider a maximum drama dramatic, and everything in between is going to be like a medium drama dramatic. But I think it is better if we show a couple of examples of this. And yeah, the first one is the Phasmid. We're gonna. I think this is a perfect example to demonstrate the movement that audio creates inside of these still images, because you're gonna see the Phasmid arriving to where Kim and Harry are, also Phasmid leaving and reacting to different actions from Harry and Kim. So if you can play the video, Ruben, please.
Like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It is no more than 5 steps away. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from his head. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from his head. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from his head. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from his head like a... The creature stands on long stilt-like legs. The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from...
Yeah, and we have a second example of dramatics, and these ones lean over more like the maximum drama ones, because it's the tribunal sequence that it's pretty intense, and you're gonna see just a minute of the whole sequence because it's extremely long, and you can see different variations of Harry receiving a bullet or dodging a bullet, Liz falling, Kim aiming to an enemy, and so on.
Yeah, sorry for the potential spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry about.
I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. Welcome to the fucking reckoning. I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. Welcome to the fucking reckoning. I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. Welcome to the fucking reckoning. I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. Welcome to the fucking reckoning. I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. Welcome to the fucking reckoning. I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. Welcome to the fucking reckoning. I'm all out of shits to give, loincloth. Welcome to the fucking reckoning.
Yeah, and those were a few examples, and now I'm gonna pass the mic to Katharina, and she's gonna explain us all about the implementation side of the dramatics.
Hello, thank you, Mirella. Yeah, quick word from me. This is going to be quick because implementing dramatics was fairly easy because they work in frames, right? So they are one frame after another, which means that we basically made a system that plays one event per frame. And then inside FMOD, we did all the rest. So as Mirella already said, we had these intensity levels, low, medium, and high. So for every frame, we usually played one of those, and then on top some generic event, or in some cases even we just stick with the generic drama events because that was enough. And yeah, then inside FMOD we can still control loops, parameters, whatever we want to have through playing through the whole dramatic, if anything. And yeah, that's it. Back to you, Mirella.
Back to me. And now we're gonna talk about another two big systems we did. One of them is the felt sounds. Yeah, and this is, as I said, another system we introduced. These were like smaller contextual sounds that weren't tied to a dramatic in this way, but I think it helped reinforcing the immersion of the game overall. And this kind of sounds where, for example, if Harry mentions that he's gonna open a door, that you're gonna listen to a door creaking, or if he interacts with an object or does like a small action, stuff like that. We try to cover as much as we could those moments, but full coverage of the game this way will have been really cool, but impossible for us because I mean, we didn't have the time or the resources to do that. So alongside with the narrative team, we agreed to select 11 full sounds per chapter, and we selected the ones that we thought that were gonna be like we're gonna have the highest impact on immersion. And I just wanted to add that this could seem like a very tiny detail thing we did, but in the end, it was interesting to find out that these sounds will add a lot and would actually stand out a lot when they happen. So this contributed a lot into the audiobook experience overall. And we are going to share, again, a couple of examples. This is Harry eating, my favorite one.
You should eat it slowly. Really you can barely taste what you're eating as you shove the slices in your mouth. But you can tell it's doing your body good. Soon, it's all gone. Just some wheat-free flour left on your hands.
Yeah, he did enjoy the pie, actually. and
Did you record yourself eating a pie, Mirella?
no, I wish.
It's the same.
Yeah, next time maybe. And then there is
Yes.
the karaoke sequence. We are not gonna listen to the whole song, unfortunately, because we don't have time. But you're gonna hear the strong ovation he receives after the song.
Given him, he begins to frown. Hard.
Fine, fine. Climb on that.
The stage is all set. You feel
So, are you ready for your thing now? Let me know when I should turn on the karaoke carousel.
The air is thick with anticipation. Someone dims the light. A lazy applause fills the room. You feel your hands shake as awareness of your body returns to you.
Yeah, and those were the examples. And now Kat is gonna explain to us how we integrated this in the game.
I'm back. Yes, felt sound implementation was a little bit more difficult because we couldn't really do this through Unity. So we had to use the writing tool, which is also called felt, which I know is confusing. But yeah, whenever I talk about felt, I mean the writing tool now, not the actual in-game company. Yeah, it's done through felt. And how it works is that every dialogue that you have in the game is organized in a flow. We have, I don't know how many, we have many dialogue flows. And you have to find the right dialogue flow and then the right card. For example, in this case, we wanted to add a sound to the central furnace. And this was in the original disco done the same way, but with different audio triggers, because they didn't use FMOD. And obviously we wanted to use FMOD for one, and also we didn't have the same felt sounds. As Mirella said, we had 11 felt sounds per chapter, and sometimes they didn't overlap with what they did in the original disco. So we had to find all the original audio triggers and remove them, and then go back in and add all the audio triggers that we actually want. And engineering was very kind and made this function for us, that is play audio FMOD, and it does exactly what it says. It plays an event through FMOD, just a single event. Yeah, and you just reference the event path, and then it plays the sound that is attached every time this card comes up in the game. Yeah, this is how we went through the whole game. And back to Mirella, I think.
Yeah, ambiences. Yeah, the ambience work, I think it was one of the areas where adapting Disco Elysium to mobile ended up requiring for us like the biggest redesign, because in the mobile version, can you go to the next slide, please, so we can see exact? Yeah, in the mobile version, environments they're just like this. They are presented like a large panoramic static image, and the player can scroll horizontally across the scene with their finger, but the image itself remains still there. There's nothing. We can go back to the yeah, thank you. So because of that, we tried at first to reuse Disco Elysium original ambiences, but soon we realized that they didn't translate well to this format. And it was mostly because on Disco Elysium, the original one, the player can move through the different environments, changing perspectives dynamically, but on mobile, all of that is gone. So we rebuilt the ambiences from scratch, and we usually made like a base layer that depended on the space. It would be, I don't know, if it's like an exterior, it would be like a wind base or distant city sounds base, or if we were on an interior, but just a room tone. And then we added scatter audios, positional sounds distributed through the environment, such as, I don't know, maybe some birds in the top of a tree, or some metal creaks, if there were like a construction work on, I don't know, on some area of the image. These events create the illusion that the environment continued beyond the static image, and we also increase the density of these ambience compared to the ones originally used at Disco Elysium, in order to empowering this illusion. So the denser the ambience, we found out that the more compensate the lack of visual motion. And again, we have a few examples. We have like an interior. This one is the insides of the felt building, and it's like a more darker industrial ambience we used.
Love that there's still the naked Harry in the corner.
Yeah, I know, because they were the work in progress art. And yeah, I also added like an exterior example, and here on the right side of the environment, you're gonna hear more like the city construction sounds, and on the left, you're gonna start listening to the sea and the dogs. Yeah. Yeah, and that was it. Back to Katharina and the implementation side of the Ambiences.
Hello again. Yeah, so at first I wanted to quickly talk about this because it has been so useful. It just doesn't technically have anything to do with audio, but we had this wonderful custom menu up top that let you quickly select the level or the dramatic or the dialogue frame that you want to work on. And I can really recommend this if you have a game with a lot of levels and a lot of like tiny things that you need to access quickly. Ask your engineering team to do this. It was a real time saver. Next slide, please. And then inside a level, it looks fairly simple again. We had this main audio object, which where we could select the event for the level music, if there was music, and then we had this section just called other level events, which technically can be anything, anything that is 2D, but we mostly used it for reverb snapshots or like other snapshots that should be active during the level. And then in the section at the bottom, we had the emitter list, and the emitters actually were placed under the art layer. So you can see on the right side in the picture that it's called background layer, and there's an audio object under the background layer that has an ambience, a bed ambience, a bar, and the snoring man. And we did this because sometimes we had multiple layers of art. You can see in this level, we have the background and the midground. And when you move on your phone left and right, these layers move in different speeds to give a bit more density. That's not the right word. I don't know the word. You know what I mean? They move in different speeds. And so that the audio would not be moved out of the way or like always be attached to the right object. We attached it directly to the art. And then we had a script that automatically detects all the objects that have an audio emitter, and they would be put under this emitter list that automatically played and stopped them when we load or unload a level. Next slide, please. And then we had the gyroscope levels, which were a little bit special because you can not only swipe left and right inside the level, but you can, with is it the gyroscope? The device, is it called gyroscope in the phone? That we use that that you are able to move your phone around and then like this explore the level. And the problem with that was that if you're not in play mode, the Unity looked like the picture on the left. So it was just played out in 2D. It was just a 2D plane. So if we place the images on the 2D plane, they would not translate to the sphere, because when then in play mode, this 2D art is kind of wrapped around that sphere, which has a different position in Unity than the 2D plane. So the emitter positions would get lost. So what we did is we placed the emitters on the 2D plane, and then the positions of the emitters would automatically be transferred into the sphere once you hit play. Yeah, that was great. So we didn't have to position them manually somehow in the sphere. And next slide, please. I believe that is Gyrolab. Yes. And yeah, let's go to the elephant in the room. We have more than 70,000 voiceover files from Disco Elysium that were just laying around in a big folder and somehow had to go to FMOD. Yeah, as Ruben already said, Disco Elysium used Unity Audio, which we didn't want to do for many reasons. Especially for VO, it's a ton of voiceover. So data management is a little bit more easy in FMOD. We have more control over what is loaded and what is not loaded, and then also how it is processed. So which voices go into the reverb, for example. And could you click? Thank you. So then this is one of the voiceover files from Disco Elysium. That was their naming convention, which worked for Disco Elysium, but sadly was a bit of a pain for us in the implementation process. And we kind of needed to get from this file or this pile of files to having audio tables in FMOD organized and with the right key that matched the felt card ID, which is every card in felt in the writing tool has one unique ID that when it comes up in the game, you can read that ID. And we wanted to use that ID to attach the correct voiceover file. But as you might see from the file name, there's no connection to the ID. We only have this name. So luckily we had DevOps and engineering, and they helped us to make a script that automatically creates VO banks based on dialogue flows. So every dialogue in game has its own dialogue flow. It has its own VO bank. And whenever the dialogue comes up, it loads that VO bank. And when the dialogue is done, it unloads the VO bank again. And also we needed to automatically match the card ID from the writing tool to the correct voiceover file. And that was also done by that script. And yeah, I can't imagine if we didn't have this, it would have been chaos. It was chaos, but we made it work. And then we wanted to do something special for some of the VO files, because we wanted to make use of the technology that we had and the fact that everybody is wearing headphones these days when using their phone. And we wanted to introduce some binaural audio of some kind. And we thought the skill voices are kind of perfect for this, because making them binaural would add another layer to the chaos in Harry's head, to all the voices constantly like screaming at him. But still, we needed to keep it kind of simple because not everyone has great headphones. Most people actually have shitty headphones. So it needed to work on those as well. And also every person receives the generic binaural rendering a bit differently. And some people just don't hear that very well. So we limited it to having one axis, to only have one 2D plane around your head and not having height differences, because they are difficult to hear and they make it, if you don't hear that the sound is actually higher or lower, it just makes it sound weird. So yeah, we stuck to the 2D plane. And if you could click again, Ruben. Yeah. And then we had, for some occasions, we wanted to do something more special and have the VO actually move, because the scale voices all had fixed positions around the head. And so for weird sequences like dreams, where, yeah, it's even more weird than in the usual dialogue, we decided that is the point where they can actually move and do something cool. But for that, the movement is baked in, yeah, in every single file. And this was our skill voice map. I don't actually know if this is the final version, but you can see here that all the skills are positioned around the head, sometimes in your head. And I think we ended up with 3 layers of distance for those. Like in this picture there, it looks kind of random, but I think we had 3 layers of distance in the end. Yeah. And sorry, that's how it sounds. The first video is the moving VO, that's from the intro dream, and the second one is just the skill voice.
An inordinate amount of time passes. It is utterly void of struggle. No ex-wives are contained within it. Yes, it is. An awareness creeps up on you. A mass lies hidden in your dead angle, soaking in some lurid acidic sauce. It's bloated and shameful. A ball of meat surrounding you. This is a terrible line of questioning, and it will only lead to more awareness of the meat thing.
How very astute of you. This renders it ineffectual. You should look for a whole cigarette, or better yet, an entire good. They'll make you stronger and better.
That's me. Back to Ruben.
Back to me. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Mirella, for everything. So that was pretty much everything. Some final notes to share with you folks. Production was really good, taking especially into account that we arrived to the project while it was already in development. They made the efforts to integrate audio into the pipelines downstream and so on. We had a lot of support from the producers during development. We even had time for policing, so which is something that I really appreciate. So yeah, that talks like very well about production. So yeah, it was great. As I said before, it was a good project, small team, very collaborative, so much creative. I think that that's one of the things that I like the most about mobile games, that usually teams are like quite small, usually. So it's easy to reach like an engineer, an artist, a producer, a colleague basically in there to unblock you on something, or if you need any kind of help, right? FMOD did a good job for this scope of project. We didn't need to bring FMOD to its limits, basically, but it responded very well to everything that we needed to do. So far, so good. We also had a lot of room to experiment with dramatic sample sounds, as you have seen on the previous slides and the videos and so on. And it was very interesting to see like we can deliver, like with the resources that we had and so on. It was a bit of a challenge to work on an IP as this Elysium, right, with such a strong fan base. But I think that we did good. As I said, we were like very respectful with the IP. We wanted to honor like the work that other people already made and did to the project. So yeah, I think that we did good. And this was also the first project published under our new established audit department. And yeah, it was a great opportunity to set up our pillars and our artistic approach. There was a lot of lessons and know-how and technology that we brought to Zero Parades, which is like our latest game that we released this week indeed. So yeah, it was awesome. It was a very beautiful project to work on. And that's everything from us. Thank you everybody for being here, for listening to us, for joining us. Thank you, Greg, for everything. Always everybody from Air Vehicles. It has been like a pleasure to be part of the AirCon.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed this. Fantastic examples as well. I loved all the tactile sound design. The ambiences sound amazing, and the binaural was a really nice touch, especially if anyone was wearing headphones, hopefully. But yeah, I heard it like go around. It's super cool. So yeah, really amazing stuff that you did there. We have a couple of questions, and the first one is, in your experience, what are the main differences or challenges between audio implementation for mobile versus other systems?
Do you want to take this one, Kat?
Honestly, I don't have that much to compare because this was the only mobile game I ever worked on. I would say generally I found implementation for mobile really easy compared to, for example, now Zero Parades. Zero Parades was really complicated from the implementation standpoint, and comparing that to Disco mobile, it was so easy. And we also had a great engineering team who supported us really well. And yeah, I would just say from my experience, it's just easier to do mobile.
Fantastic. Anything else to add?
Not really. Yeah, as Kat will say, like the lead engineer of the project had like previous experience working with the game audio, right, with Wise and other kind of middleware, so that helped a lot.
Yeah.
But it's what I said as well, like we have very good production and so on. If we had any kind of needs or like technical support or QA support that we needed at some point, that they made sure that we got it.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's nice when you have some engineers as well behind you to get things working. Then we have a question about middleware. Was there a specific reason FMOD was chosen instead of other middleware?
That's a very tricky question for us. So we have been like at some we have been like evaluating different like middleware solutions and so on. When I joined like the company 2 years and a half ago, they already like had like an FMOD license, if I'm not wrong. So it didn't make any sense to make them like spend like money on Wise or whatever other option we wanted to evaluate, right? As I say, FMOD did like the job very well. If I had to come back to a mobile project, I would personally like evaluate like quite strongly using FMOD. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great. And then we've got one about mixing. For mixing, did you have a specific process such as using a specific smartphone and or headphones?
Yes, indeed. We always run like first like pass on mixing within the editor, but that's not where players play, right? So you need to mix by listening through the endpoint. In our case, sound delivered in this case to me because I was in charge of the mixing a Google Pixel, and I was playing the game and mixing while profiling in real time with FMOD. with the live update, sorry. And I was testing with different headphones, like wireless, regular earbuds, noise cancellation, speakerphone, and so on. Nevertheless, we had some, in Zero Price is the same, we had like some mixing guidelines for when we are like creating the sounds and so on, like loudness targets and things like that. So more or less everything was like pre-mixed already in the game, so it was just a matter of fine-tuning things here and there and so on.
In terms of, I have a question myself actually. So I've worked on some mobile games as well, and one of the things that I found really difficult is the translation of the frequency content. So you might make something in your DAW on headphones, and then you bring it into the phone basically, and you can't hear anything, or other frequencies are completely resonant. Did you use any tools such as like Sonobus or others? I think there was another one that was mentioned in an earlier talk, to hook up the phone output to the DAW to basically reference that while you were doing the sound effects?
Not really, to be honest, no. We did some research, as I said before, on like different type of AirPods and headphones in the market. We saw like the frequency response of those ones, and then we saw that you have like a lack of low end, and perhaps some of them are like very, I don't know, very happy, let's say, with the high end as well. So you wanted to keep some frequencies like under control in those like bandwidths. But no, not really. We also understood that people will play the game, as Kat will say, with perhaps not the best quality headphones, or even with the phone speakers, right? So it's something that you have to live with. But for the people who invest in good headphones, you have my support, and you will enjoy the sound of this game.
Nice. I guess, yeah, like the stuff that I was working on, I think I'm about 90% sure that the large majority would have listened through their phones rather than on headphones. But this is, yeah, a lot more of like a narrative-driven game and everything. So I'm sure that way more people utilized headphones. But yeah, it's a tricky process to try and make it work on all these different outputs as well. Then we've had another mixing question. For mixing, did you have a specific process? Oh wait, sorry, no. My bad. How do you translate your needs to the engineer/programming team? Do you elaborate a document in pre-production?
I can elaborate this one as well. Yes, we have like a lot of like documentation in Confluence, like all the disciplines and so on, and we were documenting everything. That also means that game designers, engineers, artists, and so on were documenting the features that we will have in the game. As I said, we had a very good production, so each time that I know a game designer came along with a new feature, we have like a meeting to talk about, okay, this is like the feature, they were presenting it to us, and then when the heads of departments were like thinking on potential like impacts on our discipline, what we will need in order to embrace and support that vision and that feature and so on. Then we will say, okay, this will need like this, and that from our side. That will take us 2 weeks of work, 2 people or whatever. We will need an engineer to develop the system for us and so on. So they were allocating time for them as well. We work like in a cascade mode, basically, right? And then we see if we have enough time for that or not. And then if not, we prioritize the stuff. Like, okay, this is like really important. This is medium. This is low. If we can reach the low, it's awesome. But if not, at least we have high and medium done.
Fantastic.
This like, yeah, collaborate with other disciplines. This is the key.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere, I would say so.
Definitely. Games are very collaborative. It's crazy. So many different disciplines across the board. All right. Well, thank you so much to all of you for this wonderful presentation. Really appreciate having you on and sharing all of this knowledge with us. The chat really enjoyed it as well. And we have another talk coming up on YouTube, which is Inspiration, Friction, and Creativity in the Age of AI. So you can catch that next in 15 minutes. So stay around for that. And thank you again to the Zaum audio team, Ruben, Mirella, and Katharina. Thank you so much. And have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Greg.
You too.
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Cheers.
Bye.